5, Dan in Hattiesburg, Tanner Hall got robbed. We got another one. He got cheated out of the Ferriss, but Tanner Hall was just named Sun Belt Conference Pitcher of the Year. So let's talk about the Ferriss Trophy. It was awarded today. The Ferriss Trophy presented by the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians and Pearl River Resort. They had the ceremony at Pearl River Resort today. Kemp Alderman was named the winner of the 2023 Ferriss Trophy. Alderman was the first Ole Miss player to win the award since 2014 when Austin Bousfield won it. He led the Rebels in nearly every offensive category. Hit .376, slugged it at a .709 clip. His on-base percentage was .440. Had 80 hits, 61 runs batted in, 19 home runs, 151 total bases, and he hit .393 with runners on base. The 80 hits and the 151 total bases were fourth highest in the SEC during the regular season. The 19 home runs were third highest in program history. He also caught 4 games and pitched twice, giving up 1 hit with 4 strikeouts over an inning and 2/3. That's just kind of like a little asterisk at the end of the season he had. Kemp Alderman won this award.
Maker.
Yeah, he.
If Tanner Hall had hit a home run, you know.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I'll give you Tanner Hall's numbers in a second. I think there's something that's really important to point out here, though, because I don't feel like a lot of people know this. The Ferriss Trophy, the finalists and the winner are chosen by a panel made up of scouts and coaches. It is different from the Connerly Trophy, the Howell Trophy, and the Gillum Trophy. Those 3 awards are voted on by members of the media. And there's been a fan component at times in the Connerly Trophy award presentation. But if you want to get mad at somebody, you got to get mad at people who do baseball full-time for a living. They're the ones that determine who the winner of this award is. I think, I'm not going to speak for the two of you, although I think you've said it out loud as well. If it had been an award that media voted on and we had a vote like we do for the other 3 awards, I would have voted Tanner Hall first and Kemp Alderman second.
Me as well.
Me as well.
Okay, so we're all on the same page on that. And if it had been an award that was given based on media voting, I think Tanner Hall would have won it, and I don't honestly think it would have been that close. But that is not how this award is determined. So, you want to get mad at somebody, that's who you get mad at. It's not necessarily with, you can be mad at us for other things. Here were Tanner Hall's numbers this year.
And you will be.
He was 11-3 in 14 games started. So he factored into the decision in all 14 games in which he pitched. He had a 2.45 earned run average. He had 1 complete game and 88 innings pitched this year, 64 hits allowed. He gave up 29 runs, just 24 of them were earned. He struck out 100 and walked 30. He allowed 5 home runs, and the batting average against him was .203. How does that compare to his numbers from last year? And you remember, the numbers from last year that we're looking at include games after the award was presented. So it includes his postseason numbers. He's got at least 2 more starts, possibly 3, possibly more than that. But last year he went 9-3. He had 17 starts and 19 appearances. ERA was higher last year than this year, 2.81. He threw 109 innings last year. I don't know if he'll get to that threshold this year or not. It would take probably 3 starts and going deep in all 3 of them. He gave up 98 hits last year, so that's significantly more than this year. He gave up more runs and more earned runs last year. He walked fewer. He only had 14 walks while striking out 146 last year. So the strikeout to walk ratio was just mind-boggling a season ago.
Yeah.
The numbers are very deserving of being named the best college baseball player in the state. But frankly, the numbers for Kemp Alderman are also very deserving of being awarded the Ferriss Trophy. Thoughts?
If I'm a Southern fan, the first thing I'll point at is Kemp Alderman didn't even make first team All-SEC. and yet won the trophy. I was surprised to not see Kemp, but I guess when you look at the three outfielders that made it, it's really hard to argue.
Yeah, but, Dylan Cruz, Wyatt Langford, and Ethan Petrie.
I mean, that's pretty good outfield.
Enrique
right
Bradfield at Vanderbilt wasn't even first-team All-SEC in the outfield.
Team, yeah.
Goodness.
And he could have been the DH, but Hunter Hines was the DH over him on the first team. So, I mean, that's there's a lot at play here as far as, the Ferriss Trophy goes.
So how does that work?
I would have voted for Tanner.
Can you have a position player be the DH on an all-league team when he's not the DH on the team?
Yeah, they slant.
It's DH utility.
Yeah.
So it can be anybody, I guess.
Well,
it's kind of like
the
all-purpose player
over Hines.
And I would agree with that because the Alderman had a statistically superior year in everything except home runs, but he didn't. So, like I said, I would have given the award to Hall. I thought Hall deserved it. He's the best player on the best team, and that carries some weight for me. The fact that State was 9-21 in the conference, and Ole Miss is 6-24 in the conference, and Southern Miss is about to, I guess they finished second in the Sun Belt with that loss on
they did
on Friday, but they're going to be playing postseason baseball. That carries some weight for me.
Yeah, I do think Southern Miss fans have a legitimate gripe. I do, especially when it's the All-American from a year ago who joined a better league. I say joined. His team joined a better league. And they made it harder on pitchers because of the pitch clock and the strike zones being tightened, and yet he's putting up the numbers that you mentioned before. Legitimate gripe. I do not agree with the people that are talking about how, Alderman is not a deserving winner as well. So when we talked about this last week when the nominees came out, I said I would vote Hall. I would have, had I been given one easily. I mean, without even thinking about it, I would have voted for him. But to say that the numbers that Alderman put up are not deserving also, I think, is a little bit going too far on the other side. Southern Miss fans have a gripe, though. I mean, I feel for them. I think they're perfectly, totally legitimate in thinking that their guy should have won that award today. Totally.
Yeah, Jeff, I think, phrases it pretty well on the C Spire text line. He says Tanner didn't get cheated. He didn't get screwed. But I do think they gave it to the wrong individual. But Kemp Alderman had a really great year. I think that's
about right.
It's almost like a take with nuance. Jeff, you're not allowed to do that on the text line.
No.
You have to throw flames when you type that out. Yes, I completely agree. Kemp Alderman was an exceedingly deserving winner. But if you feel like the wrong guy got the award, I think you are absolutely justified in feeling that. I will say, no, not that, because that sounded like comma but. Just period, end of sentence. New paragraph, maybe even a new chapter. Kemp Alderman's career arc at Ole Miss is incredible. He went from country strong kid from Decatur, Mississippi that hits it a mile, but you better put it on a tee.
If it moves at all.
Because if it moves, if it's got a wrinkle, if it spins at all, forget about it. He'll swing at it, but he's not going to be within a foot of the pitch, of hitting the pitch, of making contact. And then last year he takes a really big step forward and he becomes a more disciplined hitter. And then this year, he's one of the most feared hitters in the SEC. Not necessarily the most feared, because you've got 6 or 8 guys that had 20 home runs or more this year in the SEC. But Kemp Alderman was absolutely one of those players that every single time he stepped to the plate, you were afraid that the ball might leave his bat at 120 miles an hour and it might travel 450 feet. And if it happened to not have the trajectory to travel 450 feet, it might one-hop the wall by the time the center fielder takes about 3 steps.
Yeah. He blossomed from a spectacle to a guy that would not surprise a single person when he steps onto a major league field.
Yeah. Yeah. And really developed into a quality defender in the outfield.
Certainly
Good arm,
useful.